What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Flippin Bats. This is going to be a great one. I am joined by Jake Mintz, Jordan Shusterman to talk a little bit of draft preview, futures game preview. But first, a little bit of an update. What's happening with the Yankees? Is this where it all falls apart? Probably not, but I'm going to discuss their little bit of a slip. Let's get into it. This is going to be a lot of fun. Let's go.
It's a blowout. 8th inning, 10-3. Bases are loaded for Verlander, who waits on a 3-0 pitch. He swings, and it's a high fly ball, deep center field. It is gone! Home run! And a huge bat flip to celebrate. All right, Ben, start the show already.
The New York Yankees. That's where I want to start. That's where I need to start. This team that has been the best team in baseball all year long has had everybody talking about them. They've been on a historic pace to win more games potentially than anyone ever. Well, they just lost a series to the Reds, and they have now lost 3 of 4. It's just not going great for them anymore. It's the 6th time in MLB history that a team with a winning percentage below 400 won a road series against an opponent with a winning percentage above 700, at least 50 games into the season. So, not great. What is going on? This team that was on pace to win more than any game ever is now just 3.5 games ahead of the Houston Astros. It seemed like just a week ago, we were talking about the Yankees winning more games than the 2001 Mariners. Could it happen in the AL East, which is the best division in baseball? How great is this team? Well, fast forward 1 week, they lose a series to the Reds. They're now just 3.5 games ahead of the Astros for the number 1 seed in baseball. So what's going on? Do I want to overreact? No, I do believe they are a very good baseball team. I do believe that they will win the AL East. Will they win the number 1 seed? I don't know. I've been saying all year long that the American League runs through the Houston Astros, and I still believed that a week ago, I believed it a month ago, and I believe it now. The New York Yankees have a Houston Astros problem. Have the Yankees been the best team in baseball this year? Yes, undoubtedly so. But now we're seeing a little bit of a weakness in them. Just a little bit of a struggle for almost the first time this year since the first week or 2 of the season. And at that point, they just went on a tear. But now they're losing a series at home to the Reds. Where did that come from? How is that happening? The back end of the bullpen that has been so good all year long. Clay Holmes has been phenomenal. He has been the best reliever in baseball up until the last few weeks. Now, you have Edwin Diaz entering that conversation, certainly. Edwin Diaz has punched out more than half of the batters he's faced this year, which is just insane. But of late, Clay Holmes hasn't been as good. Clay Holmes entered this week with only 1 blown save and a 0.46 ERA. 0.46 in the middle of July. Now, this week, he blew 2 saves. His ERA jumped to an astronomical 1.34. No, his ERA is still good, but he blew 2 saves on the week, which he hadn't blown 2 all year. Now his ERA jumps. He allowed 4 earned runs in the 9th inning to the Reds on Tuesday. They entered the 9th inning up 3-0 against the Cincinnati Reds, who are the 3rd worst team record-wise in all of baseball. And Clay Holmes, who had been phenomenal all year, gives up 4 at home. They lose the game. This was my concern with the Yankees all along. They're going to rake. Aaron Judge is going to be in the MVP conversation all year long. He's going to get close to 55, 60 home runs. We know that offense is really good. Even with the slow start to the year of Josh Donaldson, even with Joey Gallo not being great, to put it politely, they've still got a dominant offense. My concern has been the bullpen. And yes, you've had Clay Holmes step up and been the best reliever in baseball to a certain point, which helps. But then when he's not, obviously we're going to come back to a mean a little bit, and he's still a great pitcher. He throws 100-mile-an-hour sinkers. It's disgusting. But they need other guys. Aroldis Chapman isn't the Aroldis Chapman that we've all known and been accustomed to over the course of the last 5-10 years. That's not him anymore. He comes in games now in the 6th inning for the Yankees, and he struggles to throw strikes. They need help. They need help in the bullpen. They need help outside of Michael King and Clay Holmes. They have bullpen issues. The starting pitchers, can they be as good as they were in the first half of the year? Look, I would love to see it, but you can't tell me a rotation outside of Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole wasn't even their best starter for most of the year so far. But outside of him is a rotation of Jamison Tyone and Nestor Cortez and Jordan Montgomery, and Severino is now hurt. Can this rotation keep it up all year that they did in the first half? No. Just the realist in me says no. So then you start looking at some serious pitching concerns for the New York Yankees, and it starts in the bullpen. Obviously, Clay Holmes will be fine. Michael King is dominant, but they do have some weaknesses. And over the course of the last week, we just started to see that the New York Yankees are not perfect. They've been perfect this year. And this week, we saw that perhaps they're not perfect. Perhaps the Astros are just as good as them. The thing we do know is there are two clear best teams in the American League. And then there's a bunch of teams that are really good after them. But the two clear best teams are the New York Yankees and the Houston Astros. We got to see them play 5 games over the course of a week and a half recently, and you couldn't have asked for any more. You couldn't ask for a better ALCS if we get it. There's not often in baseball that you can say that's the matchup we're heading to in the championship series. But in the American League, we have two clear best teams in baseball in the league, and it's the Astros and it's the Yankees. And now the Yankees are coming back to earth a little bit. Will they be fine? Yes. Am I worried about the New York Yankees? No, not at all. But the Yankees are allowing 6.3 runs per game over their last 7 games after allowing 3 on the dot, 3.0 in their first 82 games. They need to rely on their pitching. We know they're going to hit, but that rotation is why they were so good in the first half. Now Severino has some concerns. You know, you start hearing arm issues, whether it be minor or not, that starts to concern me. Clay Holmes isn't going to be perfect all year long. You can't expect him to be perfect. You need help in the bullpen. The Yankees are human. They are not perfect, and they are coming back down to earth a little bit. So keep locked in on the New York Yankees. That is my storyline for this episode. I'm excited to get to what we're going to get to with the draft preview and the Futures Game preview, but I had to talk about them because the best team on planet Earth can't lose a series to the Cincinnati Reds at home and blow a save and lose games in different ways. So the Yankees have slowed down their pace a little bit. Can the Houston Astros catch them? We shall see. The Yankees are human. Now let's get to the fun part of this show. I am excited to be joined today, and we're going to talk about a few things, but All-Star Game is here. All-Star Game week. We all know Home Run Derby Monday. All-Star Game Tuesday, but there is so much, and I told you, I promised you throughout the week, we were going to have a lot of stuff to bring you. And it's going to start today. There's a Futures Game. There's a draft show. And we're going to talk all about that in this episode. Who can you expect to be the #1 overall pick? We're going to talk to Jake and Jordan about that. Who should I have my eyes on in the Futures Game? Because the Futures Game, you will be seeing these guys in the major leagues, and it will be very, very soon. So keep your eyes on that. We will talk about some players. We will talk about the draft, and I am excited to get to that. So let's get to it now. All right, now it is time for some draft preview, some Futures Game preview. This is one of the biggest baseball weekends that there ever is. This is huge, but it's not just the Home Run Derby. It's not just the All-Star Game. There is plenty going on, and it starts this weekend with the draft and with the Futures Game. And to talk about that, I would like to welcome on set some good friends, some great writers for MLB on Fox, Jake Mintz, Jordan Shusterman of Cespedes Family Barbecue. Wow. I am excited to have you guys out here. Jake has the best mustache of any writer we have. Jordan is the biggest Mariners fan of anybody that I know, and I am pumped to welcome these guys out. So guys, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having us over. This is lit. It's like being on Oprah.
This is crazy.
I get compared to her often, actually.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. But yeah, we're thrilled to be here. This is quite a good setup you got.
So thank you. And let's start with the draft, which takes place on Sunday, correct? You guys will be there, I hear.
Yeah,
He will be-
hoping to
Oh,
get
yeah.
picked.
Dumb question. Hoping to get picked.
We'll see about that. No, Sunday, maybe day 2 or 3.
Okay.
Not happening on Sunday.
This is the year, Ben.
So it won't be first overall, but I do want to start there. Let's talk about what everybody wants to know, because I feel like college baseball isn't as big yet as some other sports, but it's getting more and more popular. A big reason for that, I think, is you don't see the guys immediately in the big leagues. You don't see them get drafted, and next thing you know, they're your starting quarterback on your favorite team. It takes a little while. So everybody will get to know who the first overall pick is. So Jake, I want to start with you. Who do you think has the best opportunity to be taken first overall?
So the Orioles are picking first, and
Your
it's
Orioles.
my favorite baseball team. And if you talk to people around the industry, no one has any idea what they're going to do.
Wow.
I don't even think the Orioles know right now as we live and breathe in this moment.
But you know.
But I know, because I have the That's So Raven, like, into the future
Yeah.
power. There are a couple names that are in the mix for the first overall slot. I would say there's Brooks Lee, who's a college shortstop out of Cal Poly in California. There's a high school second baseman named Termarr Johnson from the Atlanta area. And then, of course, Drew Jones, the son of Andrew Jones, also
my
from the
favorite
Atlanta
players
area.
growing up.
One of your favorite players.
Drew
growing up.
Jones is from the Atlanta area as well.
Yes, he is. And now he's probably like the consensus best dude available, because the draft is so weird and funky, and there's ways to save money and spend that money later on in the draft. He might not go number 1 overall to the Orioles.
So I feel like Drew Jones, of the names you just mentioned, when people hear the draft this year, he's the name I
He's
feel
the
like
guy.
everybody
Yeah, yeah.
knows. So there is a legitimate chance that he does go first overall.
Yeah, I would say there's a definitely a good shot right
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you have established yourself as the clear talent, kind of the way that Adley Rutschman had, a few years ago when the Orioles did take him number 1, he was clearly the best player in the draft. And so I think some people say, yeah, it's obvious. It's Drew Jones. Sure, he might come with a big signing bonus, but when you're that good and you are arguably that much better than everyone else in the class, and I love some of these other players, then yeah, it wouldn't be that crazy. I'm not going to be surprised if Drew Jones goes number 1.
But this happened last year, right? The Pirates had the number 1 pick. A lot of people thought they were going to take either Jordan Lawler or Marcelo Meyer, both of whom were high school shortstops. They ended up zagging at the last moment and took a catcher from Louisville named Henry Davis. So, like, the MLB draft is super weird. You really don't know what's going to happen, and I think you are right that part of the reason it's not quite as popular as the other drafts is that there's just this weird gap of time, right, between when a player is picked and when they show up at the stadium playing for your favorite team in the big leagues.
Can we expect any similarities between Drew Jones and Andrew Jones, Jordan?
Yes, they both have Drew Jones
any
in their name.
similarities on the field?
You can't spell Andrew Jones without Drew Jones.
And this is not going to shock you, but he's pretty good in center. He's a pretty good outfielder. I know that might, but hold on, I don't want to go too crazy. But yes, obviously he's an elite defender. But the reason he's number 1 in the class is because the bat has come along so fast, so quickly, and just to a degree where it's like he's now showing, plus hit tool, plus power. When you combine that with, plus defense and center, also just look at him. He already looks like, a big league level, player body, right? Even for a high schooler. And so that's really what, has him stand out of everyone else. So of course he's a good center fielder.
He's also had some sick videos go viral. Like we're starting to see more and more high school videos of baseball players.
Yes.
Thank God. We've seen high school videos, and now we're seeing Drew Jones hitting bombs and pimping homers. It's sick.
We were literally talking about that as we walked over here.
Yeah.
About how this is the first generation of player that of baseball player in a long time that wants to be famous and wants to be notable.
Baseball
I call
needs
it. I think you and I might have talked about this at some point, but like the Derek Jeter effect, right? Where Jeter was very much not a me guy, and he created this sense of kind of in baseball culture of dampening down your own personality for the sake of the team. And there are pros to that, and there are obviously negatives to that in terms of growing the game. This generation grew up with Instagram.
Good.
That's a big deal, right? They were on their phones all the time, and these kids want to be seen and they want to be online, and I think that's actually good for the game.
It's a big deal, and I think it's massive for the game of baseball because you mentioned Jeter, and it continued on with a guy like Mike Trout, who is one of the greatest to ever play, but he doesn't care to be that guy in front of the camera. And
he just wants to ball, and that's
Exactly.
fine. That's cool. But these kids in this draft, Jones is a great example of that. Andrew Jones has more Instagram followers than Matt Olson. Big league all-stars right now, he's already more popular than these guys online.
Okay, so moving on to some other players, there's other players in this draft that do have some affiliation with big league all-stars of the past.
Sure.
Matt Holliday's son is involved in this draft. Talk a little bit about Jackson Holliday and how good, or how, where you think he could possibly go. Is he the real deal?
He might even be another one that you could see at the very top with the Orioles, but certainly in that top 5 mix. Last summer, there were a lot, by the way, Carl Crawford's son, Justin Crawford, is in this class. Lou Collier's son, Cam Collier's, like a lot of former big leaguers. But Jackson Holliday is interesting because he was more in that back of the first round mix by the end of last summer after all the showcases. And then this spring, he just went crazy, setting all kinds of Oklahoma high school state records, hitting over 600. He's got 18 homers. He's unbelievable. And then I was like, oh, wait. He's going to be a top 5 pick. So that's how quickly it can happen. And when you have, the bloodlines, and then you have the performance, and then you have just, that kind of senior season, that's what a top 5.
He'll be top 5. Yeah, he'll be top 5. Yeah.
Easy.
One thing I would caution with the bloodlines is just because an older brother perhaps throws 100 doesn't mean that the younger brother might. But offspring might be a little different.
Maybe.
Offspring might be a little different.
Maybe.
I want to talk about some other guys that you guys are certainly interested in. Cam Collier is a stud. Talk a little bit about Cam.
So what's really interesting about Cam Collier is how young he is. So Bryce Harper did this thing when he came out of high school where he got his GED after his sophomore year of high school, went to a junior college as a 17-year-old and was drafted essentially a year earlier than he would have.
And was raking
in a junior college in Nevada and in a wood bat league, right, to show scouts that you're proficient with that. Collier is really the first guy to do that since Harper at this scale. So he was in an Atlanta high school, got his GED, went to Chipola in Florida, which is one of the top JUCOs in the country, and was really, really impressive there as a 17-year-old. But what he did that's even more interesting, he went to the Cape this summer. He spent a month on the Cape Cod, or in the Cape Cod League, which is the best summer league in baseball.
Yeah.
He held his own against kids who were 5 years older than him.
Cape Cod is the elitist of elite college baseball talent. So if you're performing, if you're even in the average there, you're going to get drafted.
And he was raking as a 17-year-old there. And so he'll be a top 10 pick. Super interesting path. And I did it, I interviewed him last week just to, whose idea was this, right? Who came up with the idea to kind of reclassify and graduate early? And he was like, well, my dad was a big leaguer. He saw the talent in me at a young age. He let me know this was a possibility. And Cam is the type of guy talking to him on the phone. When you talk to someone who's like a teenager and you're like, oh, wait, no, you're 28 on the inside. That's exactly what Cam Collier was like. Like, that's 100% that kind of guy. And he was very mature, very impressed with him. Taylor Trammell went to the same high school.
Oh, wow.
And Taylor told me a great story that he got a call from their coach who was like, hey, we got this kid, this freshman, his name's Cam, he's pretty good, I want you to come see him. And Taylor says to me, people say that all the time, right? Oh, there's this kid at the high school, you gotta come see him, he's gonna be all right. And Taylor shows up at the high school, whatever. And he sees the kid take one swing, he's like, oh no, that's a top 10 pick.
That's great. Another name that everybody is familiar with, Kumar Rocker, but not everybody is familiar with what transpired from last year's draft to now. He is actually in this year's draft again. Talk a little bit about the transition from last year and how we got to where we are now, and where can we expect him to go this year?
Well, he had so much fun last year, he just wanted to run it back. He was like, this was sick, I gotta do this again.
He was drafted by the New York Mets last year, early in the first round, and now...
Well, not early enough, right? So when we got there on draft night, back in Denver, we were all expecting, I think most people tuning in last year was like, of course, Kumar Rocker, he's gonna be in the top 5.
Right, he didn't go
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're all looking around like, what's going
Brady
on?
Quinn.
Yeah, what's going on, right? Where is he going to go? So the Mets take him at 10, and then after, they don't come to a deal. There's disputes over their medicals. Obviously, he was asking for a big number.
What was the dispute over his medicals?
So this is way more complicated than we have time to get into, but all you need to know is that players submit differing levels of medical information going into the draft. Pitchers especially, it's not super uncommon, but in his case in particular, and the way that he was pitching down the stretch, there were some people that just watched and said, he's probably not quite right.
His velo was down.
His velo was dipping, but eventually the Mets, what they did see after they did the post-draft physical, they said, we don't like what we see. Now, we don't know what that means exactly, right? And different teams' doctors are going to see different different players' medicals and think different things.
You open any pitcher's arm up, you're going to find something in there you don't like.
But the point is that the Mets decided we would rather just punt on this, which is terrible strategy in my opinion, and get our compensation pick next year. They have 2 picks in the first round this year, instead of take the risk and give Rocker, $2, $3, $4 million. Now, obviously, that's a huge disappointment for everybody. Disappointment for the kid. It's really unfortunate that Rocker had to kind of sit out the season.
Yeah. That's what's the most unfortunate is, right?
Yeah.
If you get drafted and you don't sign with the team that drafts you, the team doesn't really lose anything, right? They get a pick the following year.
Sure.
I mean, there's a reputation hit and whatever, but for Rocker, he just has to wait an entire year to re-enter the draft, and he's re-entering this year, and people think he'll be in the back half of the first round.
Yeah, but he's still sort of a mystery. I mean, he did pitch an independent ball a little bit and looked pretty good. There was some reporting he did have a minor shoulder surgery at the end of last season. No, I'm kind of with you too. But hey,
I would rather hear elbow than shoulder.
I totally hear that. But he showed enough pitching on the over the last few weeks in independent ball where the stuff was looking good again. There are still a lot of questions here. Now, here's the only thing I know. The Mets are taking him again. Other than that, I have no idea where Rocker's going to go, and I'm fascinated to see.
Man, okay, so that's the draft, which takes place Sunday. Yep. You guys will be there.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday, later this afternoon, Futures Game. You guys live for this and these players, and I absolutely love it. So I want to talk about the Futures Game. People watching at home, what can they expect just before we get into players, the Futures Game? What makes you guys so excited about the Futures Game?
Well, first of all, I'm really glad. Last year it was so much craziness to move the draft to All-Star Week for the first time and doing the Futures Game and the draft on the same day. It was a long day. It was super fun, but I'm glad that this event has its own day again. I still feel like it should be even more, highlighted than it is. There's still going to be some Major League regular season games going on, but still, I love this event because, this is the future. And when you go back and you look at the rosters of these teams, even from last year, we had Julio Rodriguez in the game last year, right? And Julio's
he's a big league all-star. He's here again.
Julio is still younger than more than half the players in the Futures Game. Shouting him out for that. But if you look at those rosters like that, it's not that far into the future, right?
It's not like the draft, right? If you look at the top 10 of a draft, it's how many of these guys turn into something. The Futures Game, if you want to see the next generation of baseball, that's what you have to tune in.
So the Futures Game is almost like if we watch the first round of the NFL draft, you're going to draft a stud, you're going to be in the NFL soon. When you watch the Futures Game, you're watching studs. They will be on your favorite 100%. Team soon.
100%. And that's what makes it so exciting because they've proven things. These are guys generally that are already high on prospect lists that have performed in the minor leagues, and there are some super fun names, as always. It's no surprise, but man, I'm really excited for Saturday's game.
Let's start. Anthony's shortstop, Anthony Volpe.
Yeah.
Stud. What can we expect from him?
So the thing that's so interesting about him, right, is think about Derek Jeter and think about how many kids in the New York area lied in their beds at night dreaming of one day being Derek Jeter. It's like millions of people.
It's a lot of
in
people.
the New York area dreamt of being on the Yankees
I'm
one
from
day.
the Richmond area, and I grew up wanting to
Of course.
It goes beyond just the New York.
Yeah, dude, even beyond it. But just how many people wanted to be that. And it's so hard to make the minors or make the bigs or whatever. Right. It's even harder if you're from a place like New York, where I live, where it's cold and there aren't many fields and whatever. Anthony Volpe is the one person who is living that reality. He's living the dream of not just his own dream, but the dreams of every diehard Yankees fan in the New York area. Volpe is from New Jersey, about 45 minutes southwest of Yankee Stadium. Had Yankee posters plastered on his wall as a kid.
That's so cool.
And was drafted by them in the first round. Was in 2019, was fine in 2019. Pandemic happens, I don't know if you saw.
Heard about it. We played a lot of MLB The Show together during that pandemic.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I gave my PS4 away at this point. No, it was too much. Comes back out of 2020 and looks like a completely different player.
Okay.
So much more power. When he was drafted, it was he's got bat to ball ability. He's a good defender, skills over tools type guy. Comes back and he's just crushing the ball. 2021 goes up to reaches high A. Goes from unranked to one of the best prospects in baseball. And now he's in AA, had a really rough start to the year. Last month and a half, electric.
Yeah.
Best part, the AA affiliate for the Yankees is in Somerset, New Jersey. 15-minute drive from where he grew up, from his home. It's literally his house.
Way.
And he's staying at home.
That's so cool.
He's staying at home with his parents and commuting from from there to the
pretty
yard.
sick summer job for Volpe.
Yo, dude, what are you doing this summer?
Yeah.
I'm mowing lawns. I'm on the Yankees AA team.
Yeah, but I don't have to leave to go play in the Futures Game.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stay with my mom, save some meal money.
But there was a double-edged sword to that, right? So Ben, imagine if your, second stop on the minor league journey, third stop, was at home in Richmond. And you were the guy and everyone is coming out and
so
watching you, right? And there's just a very unique amount of pressure. There's no more pressure-filled minor league baseball experience. It doesn't exist.
No, I agree.
Shortstop, top prospect, Yankees, from the area, all your friends are home from the summer watching you. And it kind of drained on him a little bit at the beginning of the year.
It has to. I remember when I was playing in Lakeland, there are double-A right fielder, so our double-A team was in Erie. Our double-A right fielder went down, got hurt, looked bad. They call our manager, I get called in, it's like, hey, we're not sure yet, but you're probably gonna be going up to Double-A to play. I look at the schedule, that next series is against Richmond. I'm like, this would be the coolest thing of all time. And I already started getting nervous for it because, I mean, the place, it's the Giants affiliate, but the place would be rooting for me, which would be the coolest thing of all time. And then like the next day, they're like, hey, it's just a slight tweak, he's gonna be fine.
JK,
just stay. And
you were already thinking about it.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool.
But he has this every night, right? He has people asking for tickets. He has, jerks like me coming down from New York City to ask him questions before he's trying to play games. There's the media circus at a Double-A park, which is super unique. They have a bump in ticket sales just because he's there, right? It's a big deal, and he'll be in the Futures Game. And he's a shortstop for the Yankees. Like, he's gonna matter, right? Super smart kid, really impressive player. I don't know if he's like Tatis, Acuna, Troy Tulowitzki level electric at short. I know Acuna doesn't play short, but he's more of like a really good player. Leader. Kind of think about, Dansby Swanson with a little bit more contact is kind of the level of player I think he could be.
There's a few guys in this game that I'm really excited to watch, and I know you guys are excited to watch all of them, but Jake, your Orioles are killing it these days, but I feel like, is it sustainable this year? Probably not, but in the future, they have a lot coming. So I want to ask both of you guys about potential future shortstop of the Baltimore Orioles, Gunnar Henderson, who appears to be an absolute stud. So before you get your bias involved here, Jordan, talk to me about Gunnar Henderson. Is he the real deal, and what can we expect on Saturday?
So Henderson, we can tie this back to the draft, right? High school hitters are so exciting because when you get to enter pro ball and start your pro career that young and start putting up numbers at that, at a younger age, the way that Volpe didn't initially, but still had time to be young for the level when he came back in 2021. Henderson has just dominated just since he's gotten into pro ball. And now he's all the way up to AAA. And he was not necessarily, because Adley was getting all the attention, of course, Grayson Rodriguez. Now, he was a high draft pick, but he has kind of been weirdly under the radar. And now that we've had a lot of prospect graduations, now we're looking around like, how many prospects are better than Gunnar Henderson? It's not many.
Well, this is a big thing, big narrative for this Futures Game, is we had the top 5 prospects in baseball are currently, from last year's list, are all in the big leagues. Adley Rutschman, Bobby Witt Jr., Julio Rodriguez, Spencer Torkelson, Riley Green, they're all gone. And so that leaves a void at the top of the list, and this Futures Game is really almost a changing of the guard of the next generation of top prospects, and Gunnar Henderson is definitely on that list. Now, is he a shortstop? Probably not, but he can really hit.
Awesome. So I want to give you guys, I'm going to ask you both this. One player, besides the two we have talked about, Volpe and Gunnar Henderson, that you and everybody at home should be most excited to watch tonight at the Futures Game. Jordan, I'll start with you.
I don't want to take...
No, I'm going to pick a different one. I'm going to swerve. You take that one.
Okay. I will go then with Jackson Chourio of the Milwaukee Brewers. And the reason why I'm going to take Jackson Chourio is because a year ago, I had never heard of this young gentleman named Jackson Chourio. And I follow this stuff very closely.
It's all he does.
It's all I do.
Jordan, he doesn't talk to me. He just has spreadsheets with draft names.
It's not wrong, right? But Jackson Chourio, who is younger than Drew Jones, so keep that in mind. He's the youngest player in this game by far. Milwaukee Brewers
younger than high school player.
He is younger than the high school. Some of the high schoolers that will be selected in this year's draft, and he's already in pro ball and he's killing it. He's an A-ball, and he is the kind of electric outfield talent like an Acuna type. Now, look, we're not thinking about him that level, right? And he got a good amount of money when he signed out of Venezuela, but man, for him to go this quickly, and I was like, are they already going to invite Jackson Chourio to this game? And I'm glad he's here. I can't wait to see him. And especially, one of the best parts of the Futures Game is the batting practice and seeing guys take BP in big league parks. So I can't wait to see a guy like him take swings.
Jake?
I'm excited about Cardinals shortstop prospect Mason Wynn. And here is why. The awesome types of players in the big leagues that we have right now, they're all great, but a lot of them are kind of the same mold of this long, tall, wiry, super freak athlete. Think Correa, Tatis, Acuna, like that kind of build. Big power, right? Plays a good shortstop. Mason Wynn is not that type of athlete. He's more like, he's like 5'11", like built, sturdy, but quick twitch. And he was throwing 96 off the mound in high school. Some teams thought of him as a two-way prospect. The Cardinals were like, you know what, we think you're a pitcher, but we're gonna let you hit for a year, go ahead. And he crushed it. He was awesome. And now in his second year, he's been just as good. He's stealing a ton of bases, awesome runner. And it's not like overwhelming power. It's like good, not great. But the bat to ball skills for a kid coming out of high school are unbelievable. And the arm from short is great. And so I'm excited for him because it's a different type of great player, right?
Yeah.
Bat to ball, let the legs work, awesome defense, awesome arm at short. And maybe one day he might pitch a little bit too.
Oh, we'll see.
Oh, and then last one, just very quickly. Ellie De La Cruz, Cincinnati Reds. If you've heard of O'Neal Cruz, you like the vibe.
I've heard of him.
Tall. We call him.
Maybe you've even seen him.
Maybe you've even seen him.
Tough to
He's in the big leagues finally. They called him up. In my mind, he's baseball Giannis, is how I think of O'Neal Cruz, right? He's baseball Giannis. Ellie De La Cruz with the Reds is a more O'Neal Cruz version of O'Neal Cruz. He's tall.
Not that tall.
He's close.
Tall.
It's the tall, lanky, crazy pop.
Yeah.
Absurd speed for a guy his size, switch hitter, like really volatile. He could either be O'Neal Cruz or he could never make it to AA, and looks like he is going to be the real deal.
All right. Well, let's move on. I'm glad you guys have joined me to talk draft preview and futures game preview. Draft Sunday, futures game a little bit later today. But before you guys go, we're going to get to some trivia.
Oh.
Now, this trivia segment, we didn't want to go a buzzer route. We didn't want to go a hand-raising route. We are going to go the route of when you know the answer, blurt it. And I am participating as well. I don't know these questions.
Okay. So, this is Blurt Life?
This is Blurt Life.
Dude, as a kid with ADHD who took this, like, people said don't blurt, I'm ready to blurt.
Ben,
Let's blurt. Let's blurt.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
All right, so let's get to this trivia. I believe producer Rhea is here to walk us through this.
What's up, Rhea?
She is.
What's up?
Bring it on. Make us feel stupid.
Let's see how we can do.
All right, hopefully you guys have been studying for this. Let's go ahead and get into it.
All baseball ever. Have you guys been studying?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the range we're working with?
I crammed.
Oh, boy.
All right, let's do it. So, first question. Who is the only player to steal home in an All-Star game?
I'll go with Jackie Robinson. He has the most steals of home ever.
That's a most.
That is incorrect.
I'll go Pete Rose because he did dumb stuff.
Pete Rose is a good guess.
Pete Rose, another good guess.
That is also incorrect.
I think it was more recently, but I can't remember.
I don't know.
Ichiro.
I don't know this one. That would...
All right, so the answer is Hall of Famer Pie Trainer.
Pie.
We should have known.
It's
we used
Pie,
to watch
dude.
him play back
Growing up. Yeah,
Wasn't
dude.
Pie Trainer playing before All-Star games? In my head, that was like before All-Star games were even happening. But okay.
No, Pie guy.
No, I mean, I'm sure that's right. But-
3.14
All right, next question,
trainer.
you guys got it.
Okay. Or yeah, exactly.
All right. Which current All-Star is from the Bahamas?
Jazz Chisholm.
Chisholm Jr.
Jazz
I got it
Chisholm
right.
Jr.
No.
That's me. Come
Timing, I think. Tie goes to the host.
That's true.
on. So you do have home field advantage. Okay. Good to know.
All right,
Good
next
to know.
question. Who is the only player in MLB draft history to be taken #1 overall twice?
Oh, this was in like the 70s. Oh, no.
Wait, I think I know this one. This is...
Oh, my goodness. This is bad. This is
BJ Surhoff.
Goodwin?
No, it's-
Good. Why does that name come to mind? Goodwin.
Goodwin?
That's correct.
Tom?
Danny Goodwin.
Danny.
Wow,
That was
Danny
like
Goodwin.
random. I
Wow.
know some random
There you
trivia.
go. There you
Not
go.
much of it, but I knew.
Dang.
I knew that one.
There we
Man.
go. Nice to
Ben's got
Do
some
we have
books
the
up
years?
in the
Do we have years
library.
on that?
There's like random
We do
stuff.
not have the year.
Oh, man.
All right, you guys ready for the next
I don't
question?
know that. I have no idea the year. I just know some
Yeah,
random
well,
trivia.
I think it was.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
This player made his MLB debut 24 hours after being drafted by the San Diego Padres
Dave Roberts.
in 1972.
Dave Roberts.
Dave Roberts is
Yeah.
correct. You're on a roll, man.
Oh, man. I didn't know that either.
All right, Jake and Jordan, time to step it up.
Yeah, seriously. This is.
All right, next
we know.
question.
We
I'm
know
surprised you guys
we're
did, 24 hours within, and it's Dave Roberts, famous. You know.
Never heard of him.
All right, so Detroit Tigers and Houston Astros legend Justin Verlander
who?
was
Tell me
taken
about him.
#2 overall in the 2004 draft. Which high school shortstop turned MLB reliever
Matt
was taken
Bush.
number 1 overall? Matt Bush is correct.
Yikes.
Let's go.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, we won't get started on Matt Bush. Go read that Wikipedia page, everyone.
He's pretty good in the 8th.
All right, so we have 2
Better
more
than
questions
Justin
left,
Verlander?
guys.
Probably not.
All right, which player was the first Hall of Famer to be drafted first overall?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Ooh.
First Hall of Famer to be drafted first overall. I'll say Griffey.
That is correct. Let's go.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah. I cheated. I was cheating off of Jordan.
His
You were
shirt.
reading the back of his
The
shirt.
shirt. Yeah.
Last question. I want to see who really is the MLB trivia king. All right.
It's clearly
this
not
last-
me.
Okay.
Jeez.
Which Detroit Tigers legend was drafted in the 14th round of the 2014
Ben Verlander.
MLB Draft? Who had it first?
Rhea. Legend is doing a lot of work there.
He is a legend. Ben is truly a legend in my eyes.
Certainly a Lakeland legend.
Yeah, but it doesn't say what.
Florida State League
Florida State
legend.
League.
Florida State League
Legend.
icon. It doesn't say
Oh,
what.
baby. We got it up
Whoa,
on
is
the
this-
screen here.
And here he is, the legend himself, Ben
Wow.
Verlander.
Shouts out to ODU.
ODU.
Shouts out Vinny Pasquantino.
Yeah, we
The
got.
GOAT.
We got.
Look at this.
Wow.
This was my signing. Oh,
Monarchs
my God.
baseball.
I remember this was, you guys listening can't watch this, but if you want to watch, go on YouTube. But there's a picture up in the wall right now of my signing day picture. I looked like I was 21 because I was 21 years old. I was signing. They put a Velcro hat next to me on the desk. They gave me a Tigers
They couldn't
pen.
even give you the real.
And
the real
this was the real deal, though. I was
No.
I went in and signed right after our first rounder that year, which was Jonathan Crawford from University of Florida.
Yes.
And signed right after him. And I was like, all right, cool. We're signing the same contract. You got paid like $5 million. I'm not getting $5 million.
Same sheet of paper, though.
But the same sheet of paper that just says
Wow.
a different number on it.
Rhea, do you have the picture when Jordan got drafted? Can you show that?
Yeah, come on. That's
I don't have that, but you both are also legends in my eyes as well. So
wow.
happy to have you both here on the show.
that's worth
Before
a
you
lot
guys
more.
finish up, one, thank you all for coming on. This
man.
has been a lot of fun. But I have one more trivia question for you guys, and you can blurt out the answer if you want. But
Ben Verlander.
who is in Royals history the greatest two-sport star there ever was?
I'm glad you said that. I almost wore my Bo Jackson shirt.
It is Bo Jackson. Well, that leads perfectly into what we have now, leading into All-Star games for MLB on Fox. I have been telling a few different stories that you kids may not know about. This one is of the legend of two-sport star, one of the greatest athletes to ever live, Bo Jackson. So let's hear that story now. The MLB All-Star Game is coming up on July 19th on Fox Sports. To get you pumped, here's one of the greatest All-Star Game moments that you kids may not know about.
He winds up playing football. I don't know if there's ever been anyone doing it. Hey.
He's remarkable, and look at that one. Bo Jackson says hello.
It's the 1989 All-Star Game. Two-sport juggernaut Bo Jackson steps up to the plate in the first inning and blasts a low and inside sinker into the stratosphere for a 450-foot home run. It's not an easy task describing just how big of a moment this was to the American sports fan. Today, fans watch big moments on social media just after they happen, and nearly every NFL and MLB game is available through a cable network or streaming service. But in 1989, much of the nation didn't have regular access to Jackson's two-sport highlights. On July 11th, 1989, nearly 26 million people tuned into the game, fascinated by this athletic enigma. Bo was that year's leading vote getter. He did not disappoint. Even the guys on the field that day were in awe. After the game, Tony Gwynn said, "It was unbelievable. A sinker down and in, running in on his hands. He inside outs at 450 feet. Who else in this league can do that? Who else in baseball can do that? Who else on this earth can do that?" Tony Gwynn is one of the greatest hitters of all time, saying that about Bo Jackson. It was in this moment in 1989 MLB All-Star Game that really propelled Bo Jackson into becoming the sports icon that he was then and still remains today. Bo Jackson, certainly perhaps the greatest two-sport star, the greatest athlete that we have ever seen. I just wish One, I could have watched him play, but two, that his career wasn't cut short due to injury. But really cool story. That All-Star Game home run was sick. And I just wanted to thank again Jake and Jordan for joining me. Make sure you tune into both of those things, the Futures Game and the draft, coming up in just a little while this weekend. But to finish up the show, got a fun top 5 segment, my top 5 favorite All-Star Game moments in history. And I want to start at number 5. I have Cal Ripken Jr. in 2001, his last All-Star game. He was slated to play third base. That's the All-Star game that Alex Rodriguez came out, moved him over to short for his final All-Star game. He gets a massive standing ovation from the crowd in his first at bat. And within seconds of that standing ovation, he hits the home run to left field. The place went absolutely nuts. It is one of my first memories from a baseball All-Star game, watching that one. Really cool, got that one at number 5. Moving on to number 4, Ichiro Suzuki's inside the park home run in 2007. I have this one here, one, because it was the only inside the park home run in All-Star Game history. It happened at Oracle Park, which at the time wasn't Oracle, but the Giants Stadium. Hit out there in right field, which is weird and very difficult to play for a right fielder that doesn't really know, or it's not really their home place. Hits an inside the parker out there to right field. I was also there in attendance for this one, so it makes it even more extra special for me. The one at the time inside the park home run in All-Star Game history. I was there to watch it live. Really cool. Fun fact, I was sitting right behind Derek Jeter's dad during that All-Star Game, and I had a drink in my cup holder right in front of me, and he accidentally put his hand in my drink, and I couldn't drink anymore, but pretty cool story, to me at least. Number 3. All-Star Game moments, Pedro Martinez in 1999 just struck out everyone. And this is pitching in front of his home crowd. He was so dominant. He struck out Barry Larkin, Larry Walker, Sammy Sosa, and Mark McGwire all in order to start the game. It was just a really cool moment. I have that one here at number 3. At number 2, Torrey Hunter robbing Barry Bonds of a home run in the All-Star Game. 2002, Barry Bonds was on top of the world. It looked like he was going to give the NL the lead in the All-Star Game early in the game, but Torrey Hunter made a sick play, left at the right time. Like when you think home run robbery, this was a rob, like one of those sick ones. Not like I'm standing there and then I jump up and was it going to go over or not? This was going to go over. It was a sick catch. Torrey Hunter, one of the best defensive center fielders of all time, ends up running in. Barry Bonds picks him up on his shoulder, throws him over his back, and then they just shared a laugh there. But just a really cool moment in All-Star Game history. One of the most iconic moments. But next, and number 1 for me, the best All-Star Game moment of all time, it's Shohei Ohtani and what he did in 2021. He participated in the Home Run Derby. He started on the mound for the American League, and he led off. The only time in history that a player has ever started the All-Star Game as both a pitcher and a hitter. He also participated in the Home Run Derby. I was there for that All-Star Game, live, up close and personal. And it's one of those things where when you're a fan of a team sitting there, when your player comes up, you cheer really loud for them. When Shohei Ohtani did anything in that All-Star Game last year, everybody was on their feet. He is transforming the game of baseball. And last year, we saw him take on an All-Star Game like it had never been taken on before. And for that reason, Shohei Ohtani is my top All-Star Game moment in history. But my friends, that does it for this episode of Flippin' Bats. This has been a lot of fun. Futures Game, Draft, all coming at you soon, and then Home Run Derby, All-Star Game coming at you as well. I will have you covered for all of that. I hope you guys learned a little bit about the draft. You're ready for the Futures Game. Stay tuned. We have so much coming. A Home Run Derby preview show, an All-Star Game show, an All-Star Game recap. This is going to be a blast of a week, and we will have you all covered right here. Hope you appreciate everything coming at you. Make sure you like, subscribe anywhere you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever it may be. We're also on all social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. That's at Flippin' Bats Pod. We also have a YouTube where you can watch every single episode as well. Flippin' Bats Pod there. Thank you all for joining in. This has been a lot of fun, and I will see you next time on Flippin' Bats.